I am coming up on my 7th anniversary of the release of my first book, which is called What's Wrong with Me? And I wanted to share an excerpt from that book. I believe I've shared it in PDF form before. I've also published it with Clutch Magazine back in 2012, right before the release. And I wanted to share it here on the podcast. Welcome to the Kicking It with Doree show. This is Doree Allen Nieves. I don't think I've read any excerpts of my book on this podcast. I got the idea from a more well-known author that you may have heard of. Her name is Rachel Hollis, and she is a New York Times bestselling author. And one of the things that she did in 2018, when she released her book, Girl Wash Your Face, is that she was on her podcast reading lots of different excerpts and talking about the book constantly nonstop. And I think as an author, especially someone that's a self-published author, sometimes you think you don't want to be annoying. You don't want to necessarily be in people's face all the time with your book. You don't want them to get sick of hearing about it or whatever. But this book is about to be 7 years old. It kind of is 7 years old. I did a book launch party for it in 2012. And I don't know, I just felt like sharing this particular excerpt because it's something that I refer to over and over again with coaching, especially when I'm talking to women who have self-esteem issues. And this is something that I firmly believe in, is these 10 things or these 10 ways to know that you love yourself. This excerpt is coming from chapter 3 of my book, which is entitled, What's Wrong with the Way I Feel? And each chapter of the book starts off with what's wrong with. So what's wrong with my family? What's wrong with boys? Or what's wrong with the church? There's various different things that I talk about in this book, which is basically a long letter to myself, really, in essence. It's something that I would tell my former self and young girls today about, reality TV, self-esteem and confidence, premarital sex, your relationship with God and why it's important to have one. There's so many different themes in this book that are timeless. And the book is based on journal entries that I made in the 90s when I was a teenager. And even though that was almost 30 years ago, it's something that I can truly say is unfortunately still relevant with girls and young women today. And so I've always wanted to be a voice and an advocate for women. And this is something that I'm sharing with you that even though I wrote it for girls, is applicable to women of all ages. So here we go. Again, I'm going to read the section called Loving You for You. And hopefully you will enjoy this. This is toward the end of chapter 3. Loving you for you. I'm sure you've heard this before, but it bears repeating. You've got to love yourself before you can expect anyone else to. But what you don't often hear is how to love yourself. What does a person who loves herself look like? Here are 10 identifying traits. Number 1, she is secure with herself. She accepts herself as she is, flaws and all, but she seeks to gradually make improvements where practical. Wide nose, skinny legs, kinky hair, whatever others may tease her for, she is proud of and embraces herself for who she is. She knows she is a work in progress. She has self-confidence and doesn't feel less than when in the company of others who may be or seem more accomplished, attractive, or richer than she is. This is just a side note. I could probably do a podcast on each of these 10 things. And look, I just might do that. I don't know. If you're interested, let me know. Hit me on the socials and let me know. Number 2, she understands her worth and acts as such. She has a healthy self-respect, earns the respect of others with her behavior and demeanor, and expects the same in return. She doesn't allow people to waste her time, whether it's a friend, a date, or a partner in business. She doesn't settle for a romantic partner who mistreats or neglects her. She treats herself well and pampers herself. Number 3, she's healthy. She takes care of her hygiene and enjoys things that make her look and feel good. She gets a proper amount of rest, eats a healthy diet overall, and maintains an active lifestyle. She doesn't engage in thoughtless acts of casual, unprotected sex or reckless alcohol or drug use. 4. She forgives herself for her mistakes. She doesn't engage in negative self-talk or put herself down. She diffuses negative thoughts with righteous ones, affirmations. She's patient with her progress in life, setting goals and giving herself room to grow. 5. She celebrates her successes. She doesn't downplay her achievements and milestones. She also takes the time to enjoy the fruits of her hard work. 6. She surrounds herself with positive, uplifting people and limits toxic influences. She knows her success is directly proportional to the kind of company she keeps, so she avoids or eliminates toxic people from her life who seek to take from her and give nothing in return. Too many withdrawals without deposits will leave you with a negative balance. 7. She is connected to her Creator. She spends quiet time with her Creator regularly and is aware of the soft, still voice inside her that guides her decisions. 8. She finds time to relax and enjoy herself. She doesn't go too long without engaging in a social activity or trip, either alone or with good friends, where she can let her hair down and have some fun. 9. She invests in her future. She doesn't spend more time than she has living above her means or abuse credit. She has or is building an emergency fund, retirement nest egg, and follows a personal financial plan so she won't have to work all her life. 10. She gives back to others. She volunteers to share her time and talents and supports charities. Money is only one part of giving back. Now that you see self-love defined, where do you see yourself? How do you fare? Do you love yourself? Take some time to reflect on how you feel. So as I said, those are 10 ways to kind of reflect on self-love. And I wrote that many years ago and published it in my book, What's Wrong with Me? And it's interesting to kind of come full circle to it again. And thank you, Rachel, for the idea. I think it's a wonderful piece for me to bring back up. And like I said a moment ago, I could take an episode and delve into each one of those 10. And I think that I may go ahead and do just that because it's something that is evergreen. It's something that even though we kind of know it in our heads, we've heard that before, it's always good to have a reminder. So if you know someone who could benefit from this quick list of 10 things that identify self-love, or even if you think that there's something that I may have forgotten, why don't you give me a shout out on social media? Let me know what you think and which one most resonated with you. I will recap them really quickly here one more time. 1. She is secure with herself. 2. She understands her worth and acts as such. 3. She's healthy. 4. She forgives herself for her mistakes. 5. She celebrates her successes. 6. She surrounds herself with positive, uplifting people and limits toxic influences. 7. She is connected to her Creator. 8. She finds time to relax and enjoy herself. 9. She invests in her future. 10. She gives back to others. So it looks like I have 10 episodes of topics all ready to go that I can expound upon, which is awesome. Thank you for listening to this quickie episode, and share it with someone that you know needs to hear it because, like I said, even if we, quote, know this stuff already, it's always great to have a good reminder and a little quick pick-me-up because sometimes life, gets hectic or we get caught up in situations and we just need that someone. Another thing I'll say really quickly before I go is that When I wrote this book, one of the things that I also thought about, besides my younger self and my own daughter, is the fact that when I was growing up, I had 2 grandmothers, but I wasn't close to either of them. One of them, I don't know, I just kind of felt like she was out of touch. And the other one was just so mean. I didn't want to be around her for anything. And that's unfortunate, I think that, speaking as a woman who obviously used to be a girl, that's what I needed when I was growing up. I had a mom, and she was a wonderful mom, but I also needed someone that was super wise and older that I could lean on as a mentor type figure. And since my grandmothers weren't able to provide that for me, I kind of thought, okay, this would be great to write a book that could help mentor people if I couldn't be in their ear all the time. So again, thank you for listening, and I'm excited to go more in depth with these 10 topics in the future. So stay tuned, stay with me. 2019 is going to be an awesome one. I hope you're working on your goals and that you're making strides in the things that you want to achieve this year. Until next time. Thank you for kicking it with me today on the Kicking It with Doree podcast.